I'm Jack Kennedy, and we're here to bring you the latest in MMA.
Hey everybody, my name's Hunter Boss, and what the boss says goes.
What is up everyone, my name is Keelan McNamara, and you already know what time it is.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the MMA Island Podcast. I am Jack Kennedy alongside Keelan McNamara and Hunter Boss, as always. Oh my goodness. See, we always hype fights up, you know, whether we're excited for it or we're not excited for it. And we were extremely excited for UFC 269. But honestly, that might have been one of the best end-of-year closer cards I've ever seen. Like, I can't stop thinking about it. And let's start talking about it, starting with the news. Charles Oliveira. No doubt now he is the best 155er on the planet. Beats Dustin Poirier. Hunter, what'd you think of this fight?
It was crazy. You know, I think a lot of us wanted Poirier to win so bad that the blinding light that is Charles Oliveira, we just shut our eyes and we didn't look at the actual picture. Oliveira is talented. You know, he can take a punch, he can give a punch, and he can obviously submit you. So Oliveira is dangerous. He's obviously the best 155er in the world. And his next fight, of course, is against Justin Gaethje, or is supposed to be against Justin Gaethje. And now that I saw this fight, I thought Gaethje was going to win the belt by as soon as they fought. Now I'm questioning everything I know. Charles Oliveira, insanely good. And that fight against DP, it goes to show that he can hang with anyone in the octagon.
Dude, where do I start? Where do I start with this fight? Because it was insanity from the opening bell to the end. This is just such a fantastic fight to break down. You know, I actually think, despite a lot of people completely overlooking Charles Oliveira, which we didn't, I actually think this fight played out pretty much how we thought it could.
Yeah.
I know we did all predict Dustin in the 5th round to win by TKO, but we also said if Charles got this to the ground, he would maul Dustin and he would do his thing on the ground. And that's exactly what he did. This fight is the tale of two rounds. And that first round was as good as I've ever seen Dustin. You know, laying it on Charles, had him badly hurt at one point. Probably should have capitalized on that, but it is what it is. He had him beaten up pretty badly, certainly pretty dizzied, and he was confident going into round two. Round two, Charles comes back, walks Dustin down, gets him on the ground, admittedly with an illegal glove grab, which I wasn't too happy about. But he grabbed his glove, he got him to the ground, and Dustin never looked like getting off his back. Charles was just terrifyingly good in that guard of Dustin, doing some real damage, always trying to advance, always trying to do that damage where he could, and just could not have asked for a better second round. And if you were Charles Oliveira, which is certainly what he did, that third round goes out straight away, gets into the body lock, which Hunter highlighted on the Instagram Live.
Yeah.
That was a really big thing that I noticed during the fight. Gets into the body lock, advances position around the back, gets the back of Dustin, jumps onto his back, and from there it's just done. It's just a matter of time and how quickly Dustin gives up his neck. Charles very cleverly manipulates his hands to get Dustin to drop them for just a second, gets the chin, and then it's finished. Unbelievable fight from Charles. Beats probably the best lightweight in the division that isn't named Charles Oliveira right now. And yeah, Hunter's absolutely correct, because I agree with him. This Justin Gaethje fight makes me question everything I thought I ever knew going into this, because Charles could go out and put on an absolute clinic, because Gaethje might be a more violent striker, but he's not as good a boxer, a pure boxer, as Dustin Poirier is. So this might actually leave Oliveira with even more opportunity, depending on how that fight goes. But either way, insane fight, and a fully deserving champion, Charles do Bronx Oliveira. Huge congratulations, my friend.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. That fight, which following the co-main event, which I know that is all the MMA world is talking about right now, and rightly so. We'll talk about that in a minute. But following that event, we knew that this fight from the beginning was going to be an amazing fight. That's why it's so hyped up. All of these matchups in lightweight, it's one of the divisions where you just can't go wrong. And that first round, honestly, rivals any fight for round of the year. They were going at it, and Dustin Poirier dropped him 2 or 3 times. I mean, if you count the first one, that would be 3 times. He was pouring it on Oliveira, but Oliveira, at even when I don't know how he didn't get knocked out cold. Whenever he took that right hook that he threw, that Dustin Poirier threw, and turned it right into it, like even when he hit the ground, he was in it though. He was throwing up kicks and stuff like that, and Oliveira would stand up and start doing nasty knees to the body, flying knees. And honestly, if you watch the fight, which I've watched it 2 or 3 times because it's amazing, Oliveira rocks Dustin towards the end of that first round and gets back at him. Just unbelievable action at the pinnacle of the sport. That is what you want to see, and it's amazing. Yeah, second round happened. The glove grab. From what I've tried, you can see it whenever you're watching it live. You can see it happen. However, what Dustin Poirier literally called out Conor McGregor the last fight for the exact same thing, right? So it's curious as to why he didn't call out Charles Oliveira for it whenever it happened. And also from what I've seen in it, it looks like Oliveira grabbed it for a second, like the inside of it, but then let go right as Dustin was about to do the flip and grab the wrist, is what I've seen in it. Now, I could be totally wrong. I'm speculating there. I hate to think that is a complete outcome changer, because it would have been, honestly, because if Dustin didn't do that flip. So from what I've seen, it looks like he grabs the wrist after grabbing the inside of the glove briefly, but who knows? At the end of the day, it doesn't change the result. And yeah, that's exactly what we thought. Once Oliveira got on top of him, honestly, Poirier was getting criticized by the commentators about his defense. And look, honestly, I mean, maybe he should have been trying to escape, but with a guy as dangerous as Charles Oliveira, I do not blame what he did at all, because he wanted to avoid being submitted at all costs. And what he talked about in the lead up to the fight as well was what Dustin Poirier said was in the Khabib fight, he almost submitted Khabib, and then Khabib got him in a choke. And instead of trying to defend the choke and just wait out the round, live to fight another day, he went and just tried to escape real quick and got submitted. So he was trying to do the complete opposite of that against Charles Oliveira. Well, here comes third round. Poirier's ready to get back. This is just how good Charles Oliveira is and why he is the best lightweight on the planet. One mistake by Dustin Poirier, turning his back for half a second, Oliveira jumps the back, submits him. That is how good he is. One tiny mistake, and that's it. That is how high level Charles Oliveira is. And even though he got dropped 3 times and rocked multiple times in the first round, we learned a lot about his chin, because yes, he will get dropped, but he won't get finished apparently now. And we also learned a lot about that he is still mentally in it, and he can fight on the feet. We learned that in Chandler. He can fight on the feet. He can sting you. And at all costs, you have to avoid going to the ground. Last couple of things I want to say. I loved everything about this event. Everything about the main event. I especially love the show of respect at the end of it, the show of respect beforehand. It's a total 180 from the last time we saw a Dustin Poirier fight, because Dustin Poirier recognized that he's fighting a guy much like himself. And Oliveira, same thing. The one thing that bothers me a little bit, and this is nothing you can control, but I want to criticize the people a little bit. All right. I want to criticize the people, because a lot of now this is no one that I'm talking about people that don't know the sport of MMA. Most likely are commenting this. I hate to call them casuals, because that term has become corrupted and is used for everything. But a lot of people were saying, well, we found out that Dustin Poirier is really not that good of a fighter. We found out that the Conor McGregor wins really just boosted who Dustin Poirier is and got him the title shot. Do not be mistaken. Dustin Poirier, if he was not fighting Charles Oliveira, probably is the UFC lightweight champion right now. He is far and away, and going into this fight, far and away earned that number 1 contender spot, is one of the best fighters on planet Earth right now. What we learned from this was not just, also look what Dustin Poirier did throughout this fight. It's not like he was dominated. He almost finished Oliveira. What we learned from this fight was just that Charles Oliveira is absolutely 100% deserving to be the champion And like you guys said, to piggyback off of you guys, who knows what's going to happen in any other Charles Oliveira fight, especially against Justin Gaethje. A lot of us, I think, were favoring Justin Gaethje to win that. Who knows now is what we learned. All about Charles Oliveira, nothing about Dustin Poirier. I know a lot of people that know MMA did not have that opinion, but I want to shout out the people that did, because you are wrong, and I am confident saying you are wrong. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Absolutely. Well, let's talk about the best of the best. And today, oh my goodness, I'm still freaking out about this. I was literally running laps around my house because I couldn't believe it. Juliana Peña is the UFC Women's Bantamweight Champion of the world. If I had heard myself say, if I saw this in the future, I'd say it's a fake clip of me saying this. I say this is wrong.
Forged.
Absolutely, 100%.
Deep fake.
But yeah, but it happened. What, Hunter? What are your thoughts?
What are my thoughts?
Yeah,
I don't have any thoughts. It's crazy. Like, this is the one time where I'm left speechless. The thing I do best is talk. I don't know what to say. Like, it's insane. It's Juliana Peña went out there and did exactly what she needed to do. She needed to make this fight dirty. She needed to make this fight not look pretty. And we say that about a lot of fighters, how when they face a champion. But Peña went out there and did that. I mean, that first round, don't get me wrong, Nunes was doing great, and she was doing phenomenal. Come second round, though, I don't know if it's Nunes or if it was Peña, but something didn't – you could tell this gear shifted in someone. And the Lioness didn't look like the Lioness for a little bit, and Peña just went absolutely insane and started throwing these barrage of strikes and strikes and strikes. And when Peña took her down, Nunes basically – it looked like she quit. It definitely looked like she quit. And Peña just took her back, sunk in that choke. It was just – and that was the end of it right there. It was something you'll be telling everyone for a long time, because Nunes was a minus 1,000 favorite. You don't see that every day. You just to even have the honor of being able to be a minus 1,000 favorite and then upsetting that minus 1,000 favorite is dreams. You know, it's how dreams are made. And that fight right there, it felt like a dream. But for Nunes, it was definitely a nightmare. Oh, he's gone. He's gone. He's out of the room. He's out of the room.
Honestly,
Bye, Keelan.
Honestly, I think that's the best description of the fight right there.
The universe is gone, ladies and gentlemen. I don't know what to say anymore. I thought I'd seen it all in the last year, and I've just seen a hell of a lot more than I thought there was. Oh my dear God, where do I start with this? Okay, let's try and take this step by step. Juliana Peña did it. I mean, it's unbelievable. I'm a lot like Hunter. Probably the only good thing that I do in this is talk and provide a bit of controversy here and there. But I am bereft of words to describe this. I have nothing. Okay, I don't know what to say. It's just unbelievable. For my money, I know we're probably going to talk about this later, but I have to say it now. For me, this is the joint greatest upset in the history of mixed martial arts.
Oh yeah, no, that's what we're talking about right now.
Yeah,
absolutely.
It is easily the joint greatest upset ever. And what the hell does that tell you with the upsets that we've ever seen? You know, just to break down the fight for a moment, you know, Juliana Peña deserves so much credit. And look, I torched her chances before the fight. I'll own that. I have no problem owning what I said. I didn't give her a snowball's chance in hell, and she beat out hell. You know, it was absolutely unbelievable. That first round, Amanda Nunes did what Amanda Nunes does. When I outstruck her, I think she dropped her once. Looked like it was going to be easy for Amanda. But then when Amanda went back to her corner, she looked a bit tired. And I thought, okay, this is not Megan Anderson. This isn't, you know, Holly Holm. This isn't Chris Cyborg. Something's different here. I don't know what it was, but there was a different vibe at the end of that first round. And then that second round, Juliana Peña had ridden out the wave and she stood in front of her. Something no one has ever been crazy enough to do, unless you're Chris Cyborg, really. She's the last person that did it, and she got knocked out in 51 seconds. She stood in the pocket, and not only did she stand in the pocket, she connected in the pocket. And Hunter just summed that up really, really, really well. You know, Nunes looked lost. She looked at sea. It's almost as if she thought, holy shit, I've been hit by someone. What the hell do I do now? You know, I just think her brain went into shock and she had no idea how to fight back. It's like she lost all of her skills and she was fighting Kat Zingano again. Um, yeah, Juliana Pena connected with that right, had her completely exhausted, got her on the ground, didn't even have 50% of a proper rear naked choke in, and Amanda quit. You know, if that had been a full rear naked choke like Charles applied to Dustin, I'd have fully understood it, because you don't want to be in a rear naked choke. It's one of the worst positions you can be in. But to have something of a full Nelson locked in or a half Nelson locked in and then quit, you know, it's just, it shows you how utterly exhausted Amanda Nunes was. And, you know, despite the shock of Amanda Nunes and how relatively poor she was, Juliana Pena deserves so much goddamn credit for what she did.
She deserves all the credit. She deserves all the credit.
Yeah,
I mean, she did.
I promise you this, not even Juliana Pena thought she'd win that fight. I know she said, I'm going to do what no one else has done before, but let's be totally real. Not even Juliana Pena believed that was going to happen, and yet she did. And she deserves so much freaking respect for going out and doing what we all wrote her off on. You know, I have no problem admitting that, because that's why I love the sport. I love seeing the upsets. I love seeing the minus 1,000 favorites getting tanked. I love seeing David beating Goliath. And that's what this was. Juliana Pena, I take my hat off to you, because that was the joint greatest upset ever. In my opinion, the only thing that equals that is Matt Serra against George St. Pierre. Maybe Michael Bisping against Luke Rockhold, but nothing surpasses it in its entirety. Huge congratulations.
I mean, you guys nailed it both, but I'm going to go a step further, and I think that is the greatest upset in UFC history, because even Matt Serra GSP was not as established as Amanda Nunes is today. Amanda Nunes had gone 7 or 8 years unbeaten, dominating everyone except for Shevchenko. And I, honestly, going into this, she's been only getting better. Like, she just finished Megan Anderson. I'm like, what was it? Was it even like 2 minutes? I don't even think so. Unreal. Truly left everyone speechless. I was running around my house freaking out. Like, it is what you love to see. It is what you love to see. That is why the sport that we love is the greatest sport entertainment-wise to watch, because you never know what is going to happen. And like, eventually it was going to have to happen, right? But who expected it to be now against Juliana Pena? Like, honestly, it's insane. It's incredible. For me, this is the Amanda Nunes. I think the first round, whenever she went out there and just look, if we're being honest, she dominated Juliana Pena in the first round. She dropped her and completely controlled her at her own game in the first round. After that round, she was, sitting in her corner and she was just kind of smiling. She was breathing heavy, but she was just kind of smiling, like, oh yeah, okay, this is just, whatever. I'm just going to go back out there. Juliana Pena stood right in her face that second round and said, okay, I'm losing this fight. I'm going to lose this fight. If I fight it like any other normal fight, I'm going to stand in your face. And if I get knocked out, I get knocked out. But let's see what happens. And it worked. And she just landed jab after jab after jab. And Nunes is like, what's happening? I haven't been hit in forever. She looked shocked to me, Amanda Nunes, that Juliana Pena was not, because, okay, if we're being honest too, Juliana Pena looked terrified before the fight was about to start. Like, she looked very nervous as Amanda Nunes was walking out there and everything. Something switched in the second round where she's just like, do I really want to be the champion of the world? And also, do I really want to go out knowing I didn't do everything that I could possibly do? And she flipped that switch and it worked. She shocked Amanda Nunes. And as soon as she hit the ground, Hunter, I 100% agree with you, Keelan. I 100% agree with you. Amanda Nunes was like, it's over. What happened? I'm done. She had plenty of time if she had actually thought and actually processed it to flip over or avoid the submission, but she just kind of stayed there and almost let it happen, because she was rocked. To Peña's credit, one, Amanda Nunes was still rocked on the feet, but two, she looked like so shocked she couldn't even move that she had actually been beaten by Juliana Peña. And honestly, I mean, I'm not going to say it makes sense because it doesn't make sense. Because if we were talking about Ronda Rousey, Holly Holm, that is absolutely one of the biggest upsets ever. But it makes sense whenever you're looking back at it. Amanda Nunes is far and away the greatest women's athlete of all time because she is so well rounded. It's just incredible to see. But here's why it happened. The last time Amanda Nunes has been challenged, Shevchenko, which was September of 2017. So it's been a full 4 years, because this is the end of 2021, a full 4 years where she has not been challenged whatsoever. And she got challenged against Juliana Peña, and Peña shocked the world and created one of the greatest moments in UFC history on one of the greatest cards I can remember to date. I just like you guys said, I'm trying to describe as best I can, but this is what MMA is about. The feeling right here, you don't get it anywhere else. Juliana Peña, you did it.
Yeah,
Guys,
I 100% agree. And in the fact we're talking about upsets here, this has to be the biggest one. I mean,
Yeah.
the only one I can even put into terms that's even closer is Matt Serra GSP.
100%.
But Jack, for the right reason, just like you said, I mean, he wasn't established yet. He just beaten Matt Hughes, and I mean, we all knew he was good, but we didn't know if he would be the best welterweight of all time. Good.
Yeah.
But we already knew Nunes was the best athlete or best female athlete of all
She's
time.
already the GOAT. Like, she's
already the GOAT. She's been classified as a GOAT every single promo. She's the GOAT. You know, she's surpassed Ronda Rousey and more. It's unbelievable to see what we saw on Saturday night. And that's the reason why I watch UFC and I watch it live. Like, people ask me all the time, they go, why are you watching this live? Why do you make a statement to watch it every single weekend? Because I don't want to miss history. I don't want to miss history. This is the history of the sport. Like, I'm viewing it every single step of the way.
guys, I've got a question for both of you, and I'm going to throw you both a curveball on this.
Go ahead.
How goddamn good does this make Valentina Shevchenko?
Better.
Look, it helps her a lot. It helps her a lot.
I think Valentina is the greatest of all time.
Really?
And I'm going to tell you why, actually. And it's not just because Nunes has lost, because that would be ridiculous to judge someone off of one loss. Admittedly, it's the equivalent of Mike Tyson, Buster Douglas, but that's not the point.
Yeah.
Do you remember what I said a couple of weeks ago about Valentina Shevchenko and Amanda Nunes? Do either of you remember?
Was it the topic where we, like, I remember selfishly, I remember what I said, where I said Valentina is the best athlete of all time, but Amanda Nunes is the greatest, is what I remember saying. I don't know. What did you say?
I said that Amanda Nunes is the best striker ever, but Valentina is the best mixed martial artist of all time. And I think if you go skill for skill, Valentina is the better fighter. I mean, the fact that she took a bigger woman to pretty much, in my opinion, a win the second fight.
I agree.
I think what this does is that this really adds credence to Valentina Shevchenko's resume as much as it detriments Amanda's as well. Now, look, I'm not going to do that to Amanda because it's a loss. You know, she will be back and she will get a rematch. But I think the volumes this speaks about Valentina Shevchenko and how good she is cannot be underestimated either. That's just my opinion. And the last point that I want to make on this, on the point of upsets, in putting this in the scale of things, because you've already mentioned the fight that I'm about to elaborate on, Jack, and I'm glad you did. Ronda Rousey, Holly Holm, we've talked about this a couple of times before. And to me, this was never the greatest upset of all time, because in her couple of fights coming up to Holly Holm, especially the Betch Kahea fight, Ronda Rousey showed a lot of vulnerability when she was tagged, and she showed that real vulnerability, especially her idiot coach, I can't even remember his name, who claimed she was the best boxer in the UFC and should outbox Floyd fucking Mayweather.
I remember that.
And the second she fought what I would consider an elite kickboxer, an elite striker, she got smoked. So to me, I understand in terms of betting odds why that was considered the greatest ever, but to me, it never was, because like you said, it made perfect sense back then, and looking back on it now, this, though, is a totally different thing, because like you said, aside from Valentina Shevchenko, a flyweight, Amanda Nunes hasn't been touched in 4 years and pretty much 3 months, really. So 4.25 years, if you want to really be specific. What does that say, though, that Juliana Peña was able to go out and do that? I think this amplifies it to such a degree that it could very well be the number one. It could even knock GSP and Matt Hughes to number 2, and it could knock Michael Bisping Rockhold to number 3 as well. So I think you've made a great argument, and I would not be mad at considering that the greatest upset in mixed martial arts history ever now.
Yeah, I mean, that's just how I view it, because like I really look, we had a bunch of people tagging us and stuff after the fights about, they were like, oh, I gave Peña a chance. Oh, I picked Peña. You absolutely did not. You might have been saying that on social media. You might have been saying
Shout
that.
out Kevin Varghese.
You may have put $1 on Peña thinking you'll get maybe 6 in return if the craziest thing ever happened and the craziest thing ever happened did. That doesn't mean you're a prophet. That just means you got lucky.
What's insane? What's insane? It would probably be more like 60. You could bet $1 and get $60 out of that. Those were the odds. That's how insane they were. But yeah, you did not actually believe that. I am 100% sure you didn't believe that. You might have been saying it, but you did not believe it. No one believed it.
Sorry to interrupt one more time. If you did believe that, you're not an MMA fan.
Not a logical MMA fan, at least. Yeah.
There you go. That's a better word for it. Yeah. You're obviously a fan, but.
Shout out the boy Kevin Varghese as well. He joined us in the live chat because he actually did call it, to be fair, and he did say second round submission for Peña, Hunter. And from what I remember, I think you pretty much verbally destroyed him for that prediction.
Yeah, well, here's the thing: a good man knows when he's wrong. I'm wrong. Yeah. It's fair. You know what? It happens. It happens. I can't be right every time. I'm sorry, guys.
What the boss says doesn't always go.
What the boss says mostly goes.
No, you can't do that. Come on. What the boss says mostly goes.
I'm kidding. Oh. You know what the boss says goes. I guess what Peña says matters more though. So
yeah.
It happens.
You know what? On this one occasion, I'm glad I was wrong though, because it made for the. You know what? We all win out of this. So what the boss says still goes because it was worth it.
Yeah. I'm 100% with you guys, and I still stand behind you. I've been saying that you didn't believe it. You did not believe it. No one believed it. Come on. No. Anyways, moving on. Discussion of the week. How do we move on for that? We can't, but just think about what we talk about this next segment. We're talking about other than the 2 main events of our UFC. Believe it or not, there was a whole other card besides that, and an amazing card of that. Honestly, I keep saying this, but this card encapsulates what 2021 was as a UFC fan, as an MMA fan. I truly believe it is the best year I've ever seen as a mixed martial arts fan. And this card itself to end off the year, I'm so excited about it. Other than 2 main events, what was the most meaningful fight for someone to win on that card? Hunter, what do you think?
Jack, you're saying where do we go from this? There's only one way to go, and that's on the sugar train, baby. We're going on the sugar train, and we're going all the way up to rank number 13, boys.
Yeah,
he's ranked number 13. He's a ranked fighter now, boys. Sugar Sean O'Malley. 13-5. Just wait. Keelan will be right. It's 13.
He fought the Mali Julian Pavia. I mean, come on.
Yeah. Don't count him out. All right. Don't count him out. He was 15 at one point. But we can honestly say Sugar Sean O'Malley's been a ranked fighter for a while. He's one of the top 15 in the world for bantamweight. So it's not surprising that after this win that they're giving him a rank, even if he wants it or not. In this case, he might not want the ranking at 13, but he's getting it anyways because he's no longer the unranked champion because he's ranked now. So there's only one place to go from that. You know that. Where do you go from that, Keelan? Where do you go from that?
Dude,
you become the ranked champion. You know that. You become the ranked champion because Sean O'Malley is going to do it, boys.
Like, he might be the ranked guy, that he might be self-described gatekeeper. Like, that might be his role that he wants to put out the record.
That's a lot of talk from someone who really hasn't lost except Cheeto Vera when he rolled his ankle. I mean, like, it's hard not to deny his skills here, though he is so popular, so you want to deny it. It's like Mayweather. Yeah. He has so much money, so you want to see Mayweather lose. It's like Sugar Sean O'Malley. He's got this gigantic train behind him. You just want to see the fan base crumble, but you don't want to anymore because you're on the fan base. You're part of it. Sugar Sean O'Malley's going crazy. He's going up, and he's going fast.
Guys, I think we might see the most unique phenomenon we've ever seen in 2022.
Yeah.
I think we are going to see the first fighter in combat sports history fighting for a title who doesn't want to fight for the title. Sean, you're getting a title shot. Oh, what? I think this is what we are going to see with Sean O'Malley. And I have to admit, I really, really like the guy, you know. Was I premature in putting him at number 5 in bantamweight? Yeah, I was. And that was a stupid part.
It's going up there.
That was a stupid move on my part. At that time, it was. I have no problem admitting that. But boy, oh boy, did he look good against Raulian Paiva. That Canelo shot to the body, right hook to knock him out. One of the most beautiful combinations I've seen this year. Absolutely fantastic. And realistically, Sean O'Malley looks like he belongs in that 70s show. That's why I like him. Because you put him in there, he ain't out of place. You put him in Soul Train, he isn't out of place. And it's perfect. The guy is just so damn likable and he's so popular. And before I quickly get on to which fight was the most meaningful, I do want to say there's two potential, well, technically 3, but mostly 2 fights that I'd really like to see O'Malley in. I'd love to see him get that Adrian Yanez fight because I think that would be an amazing rank versus rank fight.
Yeah.
And also Merab Dvalishvili called out Sean O'Malley too. And that would be a super test. I mean, he's
Hunter wants to avoid that fight at all costs.
Oh, yeah. That's right. That's right. Because then O'Malley gets taken down, and that's the end of Sean O'Malley. All right. I agree. I think Dvalishvili, he's a talent on the ground. That's for sure.
Oh, but for sure, yes. And then I think the fight that this is my exclusive prediction for the podcast. The next fight that will be made for Sean O'Malley will be the Chito Vera rematch because they're both ranked, and it gives him the chance to get that loss back. And I think that is what they're going to do, and it helps build up the Sugar Show even more, the hype train that is behind him, indeed. So I think we can all agree, based on what we've said in Sean O'Malley, that we know his win has been huge and that it is going to just propel him forward into 2022. But one other guy who had a huge win, Kai Kara France, he is getting a title shot at flyweight next with that win over Cody Garbrandt. And look, it breaks my heart to say because I love Cody Garbrandt.
Hunter, where'd you rate Cody Garbrandt? Back on the bantamweight special again. Where'd you rank Cody Garbrandt?
I hopped on one train to a different one. You know, I went to the train station and I'm like, oh man, this Cody Garbrandt.
Yeah.
You guys should see our group chats, you know, our audience. You know, I sent a picture today and it's just so sad, you know, because we know that Cody's not going to be the same after this.
It's honestly heartbreaking. It's honestly heartbreaking.
It really is. I was honestly, I wasn't happy to see even Kai Kara France win. I know he deserves it, but I love Cody Garbrandt so much. It's hard to see him lose like that too. Like that is the worst possible way to lose as well, because everyone knows you don't have a chin anymore. Yeah. And he was trying so hard to stay in the fight, and everyone knew the fight was over after the first time he got knocked down.
Yeah, it just was. And guys, look, in our group chat on Saturday night, Hunter so nearly left his body when that fight happened, and I genuinely felt so bad because I'm not even going to lie anymore. I had bias, and I wanted Garbrandt to win because I think most of us did. Garbrandt. Yeah. And, you know, whenever he suffered that first big shot that dropped him, when he gets to the other side of the octagon, he waves Kai Kara France on. I was thinking, come on, Cody, land that one big shot and knock him on his ass and win.
Takedown. Go for the takedown, Cody.
Or go for the
He got it. He got it, to be fair. He got it.
I mean, yeah, it sucked so much because Cody Garbrandt, that I'll save for another episode because that deserves a breakdown on its own. But in terms of the actual result, and especially the nature of the result, this fight was biblically huge for Kai Kara France, and it's guaranteeing him a title shot in early 2022. There is no other argument about it. I think he leapfrogs Askar Askarov, and I think he leapfrogs Alejandro Pantoja as well with that win, because that's the most impressive win either of those three have had this year. There is no debate. He will be straight at the front of the queue for that title shot. One honorable mention I'll give is Tai Tuivasa. You know, the Shui boy, Shui Island, love him. You know, people think of him as a bit of a joke and a bit of a fun guy, but quietly he's on a tear. Yeah. You know, Augusto Sakai is no joke, and he got flattened in that second round. I think we could see a top 10, top 5 charge from Tai Tuivasa very seriously in 2022, so I would watch out for that.
Man, every single time you steal both my picks. Like, this is a consistent problem that we're having on this podcast. Like,
when you
it's
name
bad.
4, it's hard not to.
It's bad. I mean, come on. Okay, let me start by saying I agree with the Kai France Cody Garbrandt assessment. And that is my pick, and I'll elaborate on that, because the reason it's my pick is because he's going to get the title shot next. That is going to be the next fight for Kai France. I would be shocked if it's not. Another reason why it is, he's had a close fight with Brandon Moreno before where he lost by decision, but he won a round in that fight. So high level, and that'll give him the fight. Yeah, that was just tough to watch. I think just in general for all of us, because it doesn't matter who it is, really. And look, I think we've all been fans of Cody Garbrandt, but even if you don't like him, love him or hate him, like, for example, I was never the biggest fan of Tyron Woodley whenever he was the champ, but whenever he kept losing, whenever he kept,
anyone was.
fair. I know it's a bad example, but anyway, whenever he kept losing and losing, especially it's hard to see, and especially with Cody Garbrandt like that again, it's just, man, like, that is, it's hard to see him go down like that, and especially after 7 months of cutting to flyweight, and for that's how the fight's going to go to be done. Oh, it's just heartbreaking. Another thing I'll mention too, you guys mentioned our group chat. We should honestly just have a paid subscription to be in our group chat, because we have the best stuff in there. It's hilarious. But yeah, that was just a sad moment for all of us. But the reason that is my pick is because Kai France will be getting the next title shot. And he did, no matter what, he did beat Cody Garbrandt, and Cody Garbrandt is the biggest name at 125, if we're being honest. I mean, other than probably Moreno right now, Cody Garbrandt, honestly, probably bigger than Moreno, if we're being honest, as far as all time, just name recognition.
In terms of stature, yeah.
He's the biggest name at 125, and you beat him. I'll throw in another one just to be different. I was going to be, Tai Tuivasa was going to be my other one, because I was going to talk about the Shuey and how he's taking over everything. I mean, come on, you didn't even, whatever. I'll talk about, I'm sorry, Keelan. I'm sorry. I hurt your feelings. I'm sorry, Keelan. I didn't mean it. I'm sorry. It's okay. But, he'll make it. The next pick, I'll talk about Dominic Cruz, Pedro Munoz, because I think, you know what? No. Okay, this sounds like I'm dissing everybody.
I'll talk about Dominic Cruz next.
Okay, hold on.
Go ahead. Do whatever one you want. I want to mention that at least.
I'll take Dominic.
There's too many good fights on this, right? I'm not trying to say one win is more important than the other, all right? Okay, I mentioned it. Dominic Cruz is back into 135 with this win. He's back into it, all right? Now, we're on to Dan Ige versus Josh Emmett, which saw the return of Josh Emmett. And by the way, Dominic Cruz and Pedro Munoz and Josh Emmett, Dan Ige were phenomenal fights. Both of them were crazy. And both, I guess Ige got dropped and came back in the second round. And then I thought, okay, this is just like the fight we just saw when Dominic Cruz got dropped and came back. But now we're going to see Dan Ige come back, but he didn't. And Josh Emmett showed that he is back after a long layoff. And that dude is exciting at 145 with that power and that wrestling ability he has. He is very exciting. And I cannot wait to see more of Josh Emmett and Dan Ige as well, because they both come to bring it. I mean, we mentioned most of the fights on the main card. We mentioned a lot of the fights on the prelims. There's just so many good fights on this card. Big shout out to Ryan Hall, our guy as well.
Damn it, you suck. You suck. I was saying so quiet. I'm like, I got this one right above him. I got it right above him. I'm going to mention Ryan Hall.
It's my turn to steal
Ryan
it.
Hall in 5 podcasts.
It's my turn to steal it. It's about time I stole something from you guys, all right?
That's
it's
true.
About time. But anyways, you talk about it now. You talk about it, all right? You take it away.
Okay. Guys, I gotta say, Ryan Hall, he's back. He's back with a vengeance, you know?
Yeah, he is.
He looked good. You know, he didn't look like he wasn't forcing any exchanges. You know, when they would come to him like he was supposed to. Like, that's how a specialist is supposed to fight right there.
Yeah.
The way Ryan Hall did against Derek Minner, it's just a great show of skill and expertise. And I think not everyone, but everyone who did see that fight is going to be giving a closer eye on Ryan Hall now.
Yep.
And now to talk about Cruz, okay? Jack, I'm very happy you mentioned Josh Emmett, by the way, just to intervene here. Josh Emmett was one of my picks of the night. One of the only ones that actually came true, to be honest. But Josh Emmett, I'm so happy to see him like doing good again. You know, he's been out for a long time, 18 months, I think. He had knee surgery, and the knee surgery didn't do good. So they had to like redo surgery again. They had to go into surgery again. And now he's starting to look good and he's starting to look better. But you could tell even in that Ige fight that the leg is still messing him up a little bit. So guys, just keep an eye out for that, okay? Here's some insider information. That leg might not be good for another 2 years. You know, it's going to be rough. It's going to be rough. But to talk about Cruz, man, this makes me so happy to see him in the win column against Pedro Munoz. I mean, it's hard to say you want anyone to be Pedro Munoz because he's such a nice guy. But it's good to see Cruz back in the top, like below the top 10. You know, like he's in the good part of the top 10 now. It's like he looked good. He looked vintage almost. Like I was telling my roommates before. My roommates text me every single time a UFC card's on. They're like, "What are the picks tonight?" And they text me for the Cruz one. I'm like, "Well, the Cruz one's tough because Pedro obviously has the power to put down Cruz, but I think in reality what's going to happen is that he'll outbox him and be in and out of the pocket, you know." And honestly, Cruz did that, and Cruz did it really well.
Yeah,
Cruz went out there and he looked like Vasyl Lomachenko. You know, he wasn't getting touched out there for most of the fight, except obviously when he got dropped that one time. You know, but Cruz did a fantastic job, and he doesn't look like prime. Don't get me wrong. He doesn't look like prime Cruz, but he looked to be the closest thing to it. So I'm happy to see Cruz go back in there again. And can I say, for the love of God, please put Cruz, MMA gods, please put Cruz against Jose Aldo, or Frankie Edgar. Give him a world champion, please. We've been waiting for this. This is the reason why there's like 6 world champions at bantamweight right now, and we haven't put any of them against each other. What's the point? Give the fans what they want, Dana. Come on, I know you're listening. Give us what we want. Give us a world champion versus a world champion, please.
Ladies and gentlemen, this meme sums up UFC 269 for me.
I've won, but at what a cost. I know the rest of that meme. Yeah.
Thank you for reading
it. I mean, Dominic Cruz wins. Dominic Cruz looks great. Cody Garbrandt gets knocked out again. Dustin Poirier loses, but Charles Oliveira wins. I mean, it's just a roller coaster of emotions right now, boys. I mean, it just is.
What is it? The thrill, the agony?
The thrill. That's the name of my life right now. The thrill, the agony. That's just the perfect title for what's going on.
That's the new name of the podcast. That's the new name of the podcast. The thrill, the agony.
The joy and the pain.
Joy and the pain.
But I love that idea for Bantamweight, Hunter. Actually, we need to start putting some of these former champions together. Mm-hmm. Now, Edgar's probably going to be a while because he suffered that horrific knockout against Chito Vera. But I say screw it, put Jose Aldo against Dominic Cruz. And the thing is, both of these guys could be the antidote to each other. Dominic Cruz's movement, Jose Aldo could have an issue dealing with that. But that being said, Jose Aldo's leg kicks could completely fuck up Dominic Cruz's surgically repaired legs too.
That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying.
I mean, it's true. I say screw it, put them together, headline a fight night. Let's make that happen.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying? I'm saying don't do that fight. I'm saying do Cruz Edgar. I'm saying Aldo earned that TJ Dillashaw fight. That's the fight he needs. I'm not letting anybody forget about that. Aldo just put on an incredible performance against a guy that I thought he was going to lose to in the main event. Now, you guys were right, but he put on an incredible performance. He is up there, and I think he deserves that fight. I don't think he should be fighting down. I think Aldo needs to be fighting up. Cruz, I think, also needs to be fighting up. Edgar's on a losing streak. 2 world champions. You still look, it's a win-win. You get the world champion fight, and then Aldo still gets to keep going up and climbing that ladder. That's what I want to happen at 135. But guys, what a recap. What a night of fights. I love doing this. What a great podcast. Thank you everyone so much for listening. Make sure to like and subscribe on YouTube. Listen to us everywhere, literally everywhere, including iTunes and Spotify, as well as follow us on Instagram at MMA.island and our website, MMAisland.net. Thank you again, everyone, so much for listening. Great podcast, guys.
Thank you, guys.
Guys, if my mind's still intact, I'll see you next week.